Welcome, everyone. I think we'll go ahead and get started tonight. We're so happy to have all of you here tonight. And to begin with, we'd like to do roll call. We have Dale Hansen, Business Administrator, Terry Rhodes, Board Member, Jeff Nielsen, Board Member, Alan Grunig, Board Member. I'm Kathy Christiansen, Board Member. Roger Pulsifer, Board Member, is excused. Steve Norton, Superintendent. Randall Bagley, Board Member, and Larry Jepson, Board Member, is also excused. We're going to go ahead and begin with our pledge and mission statement, and Superintendent Norton will lead us in that. Please join us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The mission statement for the Cache County School District is, our mission is to educate students for success in a changing world.
All right, we're going to just change up the agenda just a little bit to help out all of the Nucor grant recipients, so you don't have to stay through a lot of the meeting. So we're going to begin with the Nucor grants first, and now I've lost Alicia and Hal, but are they here? Oh, okay. All right. We'll go ahead and take care of this first, and we appreciate you being here so much.
Thank you so much. There's your reminder. We'll go ahead out there.
Well, okay. Well, it's an honor to be here. Nucor, is anyone here? Raise your hand if you don't know what Nucor is. I wouldn't be surprised. You guys know Nucor? This is good. So Nucor's over in Box Elder County near Plymouth. Probably one of the largest, I don't know. They make a lot of money. We recycle all your cars, refrigerators, railroad tracks. 1 million tons of steel a year we melt and reshape it into things like rebar and a lot of shapes, things that hold up this roof. It's a busy place out there, and we love education. We're heavily involved in the math and sciences. We like your students to come and join us as they graduate from college and such. And so before I get started presenting these awards out to teachers who have applied, is there any questions anyone has about Nucor or the steel-making process or anything? Everyone wants to keep moving on, you see, so anyway. But we appreciate teachers. They're our favorites. So, okay, these awards are for teachers. From your school district, I think there was probably around $50,000 or $60,000 in projects submitted to Nucor in hopes that they would pick those projects, and they picked about $12,000 worth of those projects that we're going to hand out. So, oh, I'm sorry. Actually, nearly $17,000. I read it wrong. There's $17,000. Okay, I'm just going to go down the list. From Birch Creek Elementary, Elise Griffin.
Please come up.
Yeah, raise your hand and we'll just come around. It is from Birch Creek Elementary. Okay, if she comes in from Cache High, Jason Parker.
The other one.
Oh, okay. We'll hand this to anyone that wants it too. So.
Cache High?
Oh, okay, so from Birch Creek, Elise Griffin, STEM Robots received a grant for $1,200. From Cache High, Jason Parker, books supplies for the school library, $300. Canyon, these next five are Canyon Elementary. Carrie Kendrick, kindergarten future engineer, $150. Chelsea Lambert, math manipulatives, $125. Cindy Duvall, Cheryl Nelson, Holly Hall and Rachel Kendrick, $758 for second graders learning math and technology. From Kenyon Elementary, Katie McBride and Tammy DeCourcy, figuring out fractions, $400. Also, Logan Smith, hands-on math for sixth grade, $300. I know Logan, he's a good guy. And by the way, a lot of times for those of you that want to submit projects to Nucor, quite often you'll put in a dollar amount, maybe $1,200 for 3 projects, and only one project for $400 gets approved. So we apologize because there's only so much money to go around. And so if you don't get what you fully would like to have gotten, we apologize, but it's just a lot of people. So, okay, these next couple are from Cedar Ridge Elementary, Joyce Cooley, $160 toward Let Go of My Lego. And Pat Ashcroft, children name recognition and reproduce 2 or 3 dimensional shapes, $150. From Greenville Elementary, Maggie Jones, 3rd grade science books, $150. And Marisol Eliason, 3rd grade science books, $150. There's 4 from Heritage Elementary. Alyssa Putnam, Chromebook Lab, 2 computers, $250. Okay, there we go. Aubrey Van Leuven and Lorena Jimenez, a science learning comes full circuit, $450. This one I get a hug from. I helped raise Aubrey. No, her parents and I were close. So, okay, Mika Bateson, STEM in kindergarten, $270. Mikia, okay, good. Okay, Stephanie Hansen, Chromebook Lab. We got those? Okay, so now we're down to Lewiston Elementary. Cindy King, 6th grade classroom library, $200. From Lincoln Elementary, Emily Hill, kindergarten needs STEM, $350. And Emily Hill, whoops, get this right, Jessica Madsen, Hilo Books for struggling readers, $350. 2 from Millville Elementary, Debbie Alexander, Technology in the Classroom, $358. And Whitney Crosby, Brittany Wall, and Jennifer Jones, Kindergarten Samsung Tablet Technology, $200. From Mountain Crest High School, Amy Norman, IT Classroom Technology Upgrade, $975. Mountainside Elementary has 2. Brittany Amat, maybe? Heat from the Sun, $130. And Megan Robertson, Science Math Materials for Severe Special Ed Students, $260. I guess she's not here. Nibley Elementary, Danielle Pratt, Exploring Geometry, $54. She was very conservative on her proposal. Kathy Larkin, STEM Power, $446. From North Park Elementary, there's two. Jackie Bangeter, Interactive Math Instruction, $480. And Robin Patton, STEM through hands-on activities, $275. From River Heights Elementary, Angie Robbins, STEM learning activities for science, $436. And one from Skyview High School, Shannon Norman, no more dead compute calculators, $2,400. Okay, a few more. South Cache Middle School has two. Lance Hansen, Hall's Carriage set for physics lab, $247. And Rod Butters, Science and Engineering Standards Manipulatives, $600. Okay, Spring Creek Middle School, Cindy Allen, microscopes for the 7th grade, $300. Also, Jan Jensen, Girls Who Code, $500. Okay, let's see. Summit Elementary, Allison Dogs, iPads Enrich Success in Learning, $1,500. Okay, also Sunrise Elementary, Derek Beer, Sunrise STEM Initiative, $800. And the last two are from White Pine Elementary. Judy Patterson, a smart board for my little smarties, $1,400. And Shayla Barker, Get Ready STEM, $250. Thank you, everyone.
Let me say something. I've given this speech every year for a number of years, but I'm going to continue to give it as long as I'm associated with this school district. Nucor is one of the best corporate citizens that any school district could hope to have in their community. Even when we were going through the recession and they had laid off people to the point where they were not working full schedules, they continued their commitment to teachers every year. We didn't see a drop in the amount of money. It's just amazing to have a corporate citizen like that. And I just wish that other corporations in this state had the same feeling in their heart for teachers and for what goes on in our classrooms that Nucor does. So please give them one big round of applause.
Begin next with Mountain Crest FFA chapter, which was the state winners this year, and Tyrell Stevens is the FFA leader, and he will give us the lowdown.
Thank you. Okay, so like I said, My name is Charles Stevens. I'm from the Mountain Crest Ag Department. With me is our other teacher. We have Megan Haslam, who's going to be taking the pictures. But we have a lot of exciting news to share. We've been on a success roll this year, and so we just wanted to come before the school board and just recognize some of the things that we've done. And so first and foremost, for our ag program, we have grown 10% since last year. So we've had 10% membership increase, which is awesome. And this year we had 28 state qualifiers to go compete at the state level. With you guys here, we had 12 people qualify for nationals. So we have our students here that are going to kind of share what they did, how they got there. So we have 10 that have won and 2 that have earned the highest degree in FFA that will go back to nationals in Indianapolis this October. So we're just going to pass it on to our students and let them share what they did.
My name is Wells Thompson, and I'm a freshman, and for my event, I participated in the creed speaking. And for this event, I memorized all 5 paragraphs of the FFA creed, and then studied current agriculture events and used that in my answers that the judges would ask me. And this event has helped me in my public speaking, and I'm excited to do more of it.
Hi, I'm Trevin Summers. I competed in the ag science part of this, in power structural and technical systems.
I'm Rhett Summers. I competed along with him. We were a team. And so what ours was, we made a product or a device, you might say, that's going to help farmers who flood irrigate fields, such as cornfields. So what it is, it's a light sensor that sits at the end of each corn row. So when water hits it, a light will turn on. And so instead of farmers having to go back and forth to see if their fields have been irrigated, they can walk down from the top row, and if the lights are all on, they can shut off their water.
You know, the biggest part of this was our ability to help the farmers with their time management and be able to save them time. That way they can be doing other stuff as well as checking for irrigation. So that way they don't have to run down to the end of each row and check for water and stuff like that. They'll be able to use that time for lots of other stuff as well.
One thing that this competition has helped me with a lot has been communication with Trevin, like just one-on-one, to make sure that we are understanding what each other is saying, make sure we get done what needs to be done for the product.
What I've learned is that through teamwork and stuff, we're able to advance what we know and be able to communicate better as a team.
I'm Shaylee Poppleton, and I am a sophomore, and this year I competed in the Parliamentary Procedure CDE. And so what that is we have a certain amount of items that we need to get done in a crunch period or a time limit. And so one thing that this has taught me is how to efficiently get a certain amount of things done in a set amount of time.
I'm Bailey Summers. I competed in Parliamentary Procedure, and Parley taught me how to get my point across more effectively.
I'm Reagan Watcher, and I'm a sophomore. I was also on our Parliamentary Procedure team, and what it taught me is how to recognize other people's ideas and opinions so that we can more efficiently make a solution that will benefit all the good of all our members.
I'm Sam Weiberg, and I'm a junior, and I'm also on the Parley team. And what it's helped me do is really communicate with others in a very effective way.
I'm Hannah Welker. I'm a sophomore. I did Parley. I was a chairman, and as a chairman, I learned how to make sure that everybody is heard and kind of be neutral, and just how to conduct a meeting efficiently. As well as doing Parley, I applied for a sheep grant, which I got, which consisted of 2 ewes and a wether, so that I can start my own herd. And then another girl in our chapter named Autumn Clark applied for a dog and got it, so now she can compete in herding livestock.
And so we as a chapter just want to thank all of the parents and advisors and other people that have helped us come this far in our success. And we also want to thank the school board members as making that possible for our high school to have an FFA and ag department in our school.
Congratulations, students. That's awesome. And congratulations to you, Mr. Stevens. Great leadership with the group. We'd like to recognize their parents if they're here. Would you stand? Ah, there we go. Thank you for your support. Okay, we're going to move on now to the recognition of our guest international teachers and interns, and this will be conducted by Shauna Winiger.
Tonight, we would like to thank and honor 4 people who have left their homes, they've left their families, they've left their countries to come to Cache Valley, of all places, and to touch the lives of our students and at Heritage Elementary and at Providence. So first of all, I would like to honor Christina and Alejandro. If they'd step forward right here and give them a big round of applause. Christina and Alejandro have actually been serving as interns at Heritage Elementary. It really is a total labor of love because they get paid like Zippo. So they have spent hours and hours working with our teachers and the students in all grades at Heritage, have left Spain to come and be with us this year, and we are really appreciative. So please join me with Principal Robbins in thanking these 2 for what they've done. Appreciate it so much. Thank you. Next, I would like to honor 2 of our fabulous French teachers, Delphine Boisseau and Rochelle Baudet. Delphine has been here this year in 5th grade, and she has been tremendous. She's been an amazing teacher. She's touched our lives of these kids. And this is Rochelle. Rochelle Baudet is our 2nd grade teacher. She's actually been here for 2 years. We would keep her for another 25, but for some reason these people want to go home. I'm not sure why. But I can't thank them enough for the tremendous classroom atmosphere. It's a true joy to go in and to watch these 2 teachers teach. And what they have done for these kids don't even know the tremendous blessing that they have been in their lives. So I want to thank them, and please join me with Principal Trudy Wilson in thanking these teachers for doing this for us. Thank you so much. I also wanted to mention that Rochelle's husband, Jean-Philippe, has also been teaching in 4th grade. He had to leave us in February to go for some family things back to France, but he has also been a tremendous teacher. And Chen Chenhua has been a 3rd grade teacher at Cedar Ridge. She couldn't be here tonight, but she's been here with us for 3 years, so she'll leave a big hole with us when she leaves. But these have been tremendous additions to our faculties, and we would like to thank the school board and Superintendent Norton for their tremendous support of this program. I'd also like to recognize the Spalding family, if they're there, if they want to stand up, and the Jolly family, if they're here. These guys have welcomed Christina and Alejandro into their homes. Thank you. We could not have these interns here without you welcoming into their homes, and I know that they have two new families, and it's a wonderful experience, so thank you. And to the faculties at Providence, at Heritage, thank you for welcoming all of these people and welcoming them as colleagues. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, our guest international teachers and interns. You do so much for our district, and we appreciate your sacrifices in coming and helping us with these languages with our students. Okay, next we would like to recognize a couple of Teachers of the Year. First of all, from White Pine Elementary, Marion Canfield, 4th grade teacher. And then from Sunrise Elementary, Holly Corbridge, the resource teacher.
Okay. Right there. This, my lovely crowd and board members, is a fabulous teacher named Mrs. Canfield. Give it up for Mrs. Canfield! All right, see, and that's before they even heard anything about you. So now, when we're done, listen to what happens after. So here we go. Marion Canfield has many qualities that exemplify a teacher who deserves to be Teacher of the Year. She is a veteran teacher who provides challenging and engaging lessons. She is passionate about teaching, and her SAGE scores are evidence of her effectiveness. Last school year, she had 35 kids in her class and still managed to show 70+ growth points in math that year. This year, her preliminary SAGE scores in science showed all of her students at proficient levels. Besides mastering the curriculum during the day, Marion enjoys spending her afternoons tutoring students in after-school club. Another admirable quality she has is being flexible. When the school schedule needs to be adjusted for assemblies or SAGE testing, she is always willing to move her day around and make it work, and with a smile. Most of all, Marion always carries a smile, sorry, I added another one because she does, and is genuinely concerned about the lives of her students and her colleagues. We are very lucky to have Marion at White Pine, and I'd like to share just a couple of comments that were said about her when we sent out surveys to the community. Mrs. Canfield is always concerned for the child's best interest. My child struggles with reading, and she made it so his personal goal was reachable, but challenging for him. She tells great stories that help her students relate what they are learning to their real life. Her dedication to After School Club is a great asset to those children needing the extra homework help. We loved working with Mrs. Canfield last year. Marion has been such a fabulous person and teacher to look up to. She is a good listener and gives honest feedback. If she hears about a struggle you're having that she has had previously, she will, non-aggressively, offer advice of things she has used in the past. Marion cares so much about her students' needs and helping them be successful people. Another thing that is amazing is her voice. If I'm lucky in the morning, I can get down to her room right after the pledge and sing the national anthem, which her class does every morning. So please now give a big round of applause for Miss Marion Canfield.
I get it 30 minutes. I got 30 minutes. Is it on?
Yeah. Sing. Yeah, there you go.
Sing? No. My family is a great support to me, and none of them could make it this evening. 2 of them are in Europe, and 2 of them are back east, and 1 is working at Primary Children's tonight. But I have a family here that I love dearly. They consist of faculty members, and they consist of my dear neighbors. They also consist of many of you that I have watched and learned from over the years. So I have a request from you. If you teach or lead children, will you stand? All of you that teach or lead children, would you stand?
Oh, yeah.
You all deserve Teacher of the Year. Would you give yourself a hand? Thank you.
Get a picture. Congratulations. Well deserved.
Okay, from Sunrise Elementary now, we have Holly Corbridge, and her recognition will be presented by Principal Derek Beer.
Okay, this is an honor to be here. This is my first year at Sunrise, and I hadn't even started the school year, and I could tell that I had a true leader in Holly. She stepped up right off the bat with all kinds of help that I didn't even think of. I'm going to read some of the things that both our staff members have written about Holly, and then let her talk for a minute. Sunrise has chosen Holly Corbridge for the outstanding person that she is. Her great attitude and no-nonsense approach contributes to the success of many wonderful children and adults. Holly is so positive in how she works with our students. Her ability to make schedules work and coordinate with others is excellent. Her way of working and socializing with other teachers and her support team is amazing. If she wasn't an educator, I'm sure she would be a very successful entrepreneur because she has it together and she is a fighter. She doesn't accept failure. We all know that everyone has 24 hours in a day, but you might think that she has 36. Between her busy school schedule, teaching kids, meeting with parents, about serving their kids, she still has time to be a wonderful full-time mother and wife. Our school would definitely not function as well if she wasn't with us. Another teacher wrote, "I could never do my job without Holly. She takes the kids I worry about the most and worries about them with me. She's a problem solver, and she knows all the best ways to help our kids. She's easy to work with, and she is super flexible when we need her to be. I feel that I can go to her with my biggest concerns. If she doesn't have an answer, she finds one. Everyone loves Holly. She is very deserving of this award." We had a parent write, "She has been able to help my son in ways that many others have not been able to. She connects with him to help him feel successful. Her reward system has been so beneficial in helping my son be motivated. He has struggled in the past and was very depressed with himself and school. Holly had a major role in helping him turn that around. She's very approachable for me as a parent. I feel comfortable coming and talking to her anytime. She is a great asset to our community." So as a Sunrise representative, all the faculty, parents that work with Holly, we just like to thank Holly for leading in a way that encourages others to step up and do better, for being able to see a bigger picture and make decisions based solely on the needs of the students. Her calm and collected way of working with challenging situations, a workload, and she does this all naturally, and making Sunrise Elementary better than it even is. So, thank you.
I was teasing Derek. He didn't tell me that I had this piece. I'm like, the new principal, I guess, right? But no, I just want to say that I feel like I should have a team around me because I definitely don't do my job every day without them. So I have some amazing aides in my classroom, and the faculty at our school is fantastic. And being in special ed, it takes the whole entire team to see the growth with these students. And so no, it takes everybody, and I appreciate everybody. And so thank you.
Could we get Holly's family to stand? Ah, there you go. Thank you. And next, we would like to recognize our classified employees of the year. We will begin with our paraprofessional, Jolene Ricks from Lewiston Elementary. And this will be presented by Principal Leslie Burt.
You got it? I was fortunate to inherit Jolene. She's been working at Lewiston Elementary for over 18 years, and she is one of those quiet forces for good in the world and is just an amazing person. She shows up every day at Lewiston Elementary with her professional hat on, and she's part-time, but you'd think it was a career because she has devoted herself to the children at Lewiston Elementary. She works in the special ed department in the resource room. She works with children of all abilities and ethnicities and treats them all with the same kind, caring love that you would expect from a professional. She does it so flawlessly, she makes it look easy. She goes from group to group. They're either in the resource room, or she's down in a classroom working in a small group, or she's working one-on-one, or she's doing some occupational therapy with an individual student, and she is in every place she needs to be, on time, ready to go, with a smile on her face. She's so sensitive to the needs of her children. She's been able to identify students that maybe could use some additional services. She's able to adjust her instruction when she thinks the student needs to be challenged more, or perhaps needs to have some repeat instruction to make everything happen. One of our teachers whose classroom she's been working in this year, I'm going to just read something she wrote about her. She said, "I have never had the opportunity to have someone in my classroom So knowledgeable and prepared and in tune with student needs, Jolene is one of a kind. She just always goes the extra mile for students, and we are so fortunate and love her at Lewiston, and we'll keep her there as long as she'll stay. Thank you, Jolene.
Yeah, Jill said I didn't have to. I'm very appreciative and humbled, and I couldn't do this without the support of all of the good people at Lewiston Elementary, the staff, the faculty, the parents, especially the students who have found a way into my heart. Thank you.
Would her family and school family stand, please? Thank you. Next, we would like to recognize Daniel Gubler from White Pine Elementary for the Custodial Employee of the Year, and that will be presented by Principal Shelley Healy.
All right. Best custodian ever. Right here. This is Daniel. Let me tell you a little bit about Daniel. Daniel's worked as a custodian for 8 years. He started at Skyview, then went to Sunrise, and then spent his time at White Pine. This year, White Pine went from a 6-7 center to an elementary school. And when I say he worked there, he really works hard. He worked. My first impression of him was the year we had the huge snowstorm. And I was working at Park Elementary. He was still over at White Pine. And yet he showed up at our school to help my custodian dig out the snow. So that was so impressive. He didn't need to, but he came over. The move last year was so smooth due to his hard work and his ingenuity. He designed and built, and I was trying to think of what to even call these things that you built. So I came up with this clever name, flatbed dollies. So they were big pieces of wood with wheels on them and rope, so we could put the furniture on them and then haul them through the halls. Clever. It made that whole move so much easier. So flatbed dollies. You can pay me later when you manufacture them. Yeah, I put a patent on it. And he also attended the weekly summer meetings. I had to meet with contractors all through the summer. Daniel was always there to help me and to give me advice and to make sure things were being done. But I got to tell a funny story. So I didn't know Daniel all that well, other than he was a super hard worker. So before school started in August, I got a phone call one evening at my house. It was Daniel. And I hear, "Hi, Shelley." So I just do my little thing, and "Hey, Daniel, hey, I was thinking about this and that, and this is what I was thinking about." He let me just go on and on and on. And then after I finished, he said, "I'm at the school with the police. The school's been vandalized." I was like, "Daniel, you need to start with that next time." So, but there's no panic. There never is. There could be you-know-what in the school, and he just saunters over, cleans it up, fixes it, whatever. He's just master at all of that. And he's just got a great disposition. I always get compliments on my school. Anybody that comes in said, "Wow, is this a new school?" Because it looks new. It shines and it smells fantastic all the time. Some third graders wrote some letters to Daniel, and I don't know if you had a chance to read them all yet, but I picked out a couple of my favorites. So here we go. Here's what the kids think of Daniel. "You are the best janitor ever. You are always kind to the kids that are being very loud in the lunchroom, and you just tell them to stop in a really nice voice. You are so good at keeping the whole entire school very clean, and you are always happy to come to school and clean some stuff and are really nice. Thanks for being the best custodian ever." So there's one letter that I thought was awesome. Next letter. "Thank you for cleaning our classroom. We really appreciated it. And we like you. And we like you and the other janitor. And I like how you clean our classroom. P.S. You are cool and you're awesome. P.S. I like your clothes. Awesome." And one more. "Thank you for keeping our school as clean as it is right now. And thank you for raising all of the class desks. I guess you went in and raised them all. And making it so that we have desks that are even. Thank you for fixing the stalls in the boys' bathroom so that we didn't have to wait in line. But sometimes we do have to wait in line to go to the bathroom. Your friend Cody D. So you can see he's loved. He is loved. All of the staff members just love him, and there's not a more deserving person. Thank you, Daniel.
Guess I'm in the hot seat. Very appreciative of this and humbled. Definitely wouldn't have been possible without my wonderful faculty that I have at my school and the students, and as well as my sweepers. Sweepers are truly behind the scenes people that really make it happen. Very appreciative of them, and thank you for this. So.
Would Daniel's family and school family stand, please? Thank you. Okay, next we would like to recognize Tracy Cronin at the Transportation Department. He is a driver, and this will be presented by Ed Crookston. She is a driver.
She is.
I'm a driver. Sorry.
That's okay. It's a pleasure to be here with Tracy. I got to train her when she first come back. Interesting, she come from Illinois out here, and she drove bus there for, what, 3 years before she came. And one of the sad things that happens is she's trained there, and she has to come here and get retrained, and she's going, oh, wow, I have to put up with all this all over again. But she was a great asset to us. When she come out here, she went up to school for a while up here and took some classes. And they got this new name. I always just called this, learning about horses and stuff. And what's that new name they got now?
Oh, the Equine Science Program.
Equine.
Well, yeah.
Equine. And I'm going, what in the world? I had to look it up to find out what they were talking about, to be honest. She loves horses. And just to tell you a little bit about that, her and I have visited quite a bit. And I don't know if this for a fact right now, but I would bet over at her place, she's probably got 20 horses plus that she's taken care of that are actually, a lot of them are rescued horses where they've come out of some real tough environments. And she takes those horses and nurses them back to health. And I know for a fact she goes through a lot of work and hard work raising those horses. She started working for us in 2012. And she's one of those drivers that we just always are excited to have, because she comes with a real positive attitude in working with the kids and takes good care of the children and helps them to learn what the expectations of behavior are on the bus. And we have evaluators that ride with our bus riders, just the drivers, to see how things are going on the bus. And they always come back when they've been out on Tracy's bus and say, what a pleasure it was to ride with her and the students on her bus, because of the attitude that each one of them have, the respect they have for each other, and the respect that they have for Tracy there on the bus. And we just really appreciate her, very deserving of this honor. And we thank you, Tracy, very much for all your hard work and the efforts. And we've had some problems on our bus, and I've had to work with some of them. And one thing I'll say, Tracy has been right there to make sure we're looking after the best interest of the students on her bus. And we appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Well, I'm not good with speeches or things like that, but I will say I love my job, and I love the kids that I get to work with every day. And I just want to thank everybody that was behind this. So thank you. It means a lot to me.
And Tracy, if you have family or people from here, we'd like to recognize you. Thank you. Awesome. Next, in our child nutrition department, we'd like to recognize Carrie Selvage from Spring Creek Middle School, and her presentation will be by Assistant Principal Amani Crosby. Amani. Did I get that right?
I'm excited to be here and present this award to Carrie. I have known Carrie's family for a while. I had the privilege of teaching her youngest sister, and then I worked with her other sister at Mountain Crest for a while. So it's been exciting to work with her these last couple of years. But Carrie's been in the district for 6 years. She worked at Willow Valley for 4 years, and then when they did the reconfiguration, she moved to Spring Creek, and we were fortunate enough to get to work with her. So Carrie is always fun to work with, fun to be around. She has such a great sense of humor and loves to show it to coworkers, the staff, and especially to the kids. She likes to work hard to make sure meals are prepped. She's on time, all those necessity things, but she also makes sure that kids have a fun experience while they're in the cafeteria and that no child sits alone, which is important because, you know, sometimes those rough middle school days, that can be detrimental to them. So she's very cognizant of that. One of the things, the story about Carrie is she loves to sing and dance. And she's quite good, I hear, because, and I hear Mamma Mia songs are the best. She can belt those out loud and proud. And we have a PE class that's in our cafeteria area. So while she's prepping or cooking, or sometimes after lunch, she's in there mopping, she will get a clapping ovation from the students as she wraps up a song. So the kids love that and they look forward to that. So she has been at, like I said, Spring Creek for 2 years. She makes lunchtime fun, delicious, and also we are sad to say that we are actually losing Carrie, and it will be a great loss to our students and staff. But Mountainside, it will be a great asset to them. She will be the new head lunch manager at Mountainside next year. So even though we're sad to leave her and we're not happy about that, we wish her well, and I know she'll be closer to her family and home, and we are excited and wish her well next year and in the future. So thank you. I told her she could just sing if she wanted to.
Chris has to sing with me. But I just want to say thank you so much for this. I wasn't prepared for a speech, but I'm eternally grateful for this. I've made a lot of good friends, and we've had a lot of good time, and I appreciate Chris and Stacy that I work with now, and all of the people at Spring Creek and Willow Valley, old and new, and we just have had a really good time, and I'm going to be sad to leave, and thanks again, Amity.
And would Carrie's school family and personal family stand? Thank you so much. Okay, we'd like to recognize from our secretarial department, Linda Johnson from Birch Creek Elementary, and this will be... This will be presented by Principal John Anderson.
She's going to do a 10-minute speech here in a minute. You know, as I got ready to present this, I asked around for some input, and so I want to share just a couple quick things about Linda. And Linda's fantastic. A lot of you know her. She's been in the district 30 years, and she's retiring this year. So we too are losing her to spend time with her family, and a lot of family here. But lots of good things here. So one thing, one of the teachers said, she is kind, caring, loving individual who puts people first. And that really is the case. She's reminding you to smile there. And she loves her job and does it to perfection. She is a perfectionist. She likes it just right. In fact, when it's audit time, she stresses day and night, day after day, week after week, month after month, preparing for the audit. And she comes through, and there's never anything wrong. Never. There's several principals that have worked with her. I don't know that she's ever had anything major wrong on an audit. So another person said, Linda is always looking for a way to serve others. Her favorite opportunities are when she can help another person and they never know it was her. That is true as well. She takes time to notice if someone else is having a rough day and just tries to intervene. Linda is always very concerned that every form, every payroll, every transaction to the penny is just right, and she'll pay out of her pocket if need be. She's not going to have any mistakes on her record there. She runs a tight ship. This comes from a teacher. He says, I've worked with Linda as a secretary for nearly 30 years, and during that time I have yet to see her make a major mistake. That's so very true. Another teacher said, my favorite thing about Linda is that she has done for me is her vast knowledge of recipes. She loves to cook. And anytime I say, you know what, Linda, we need to do something for the faculty, she's like, what do you want me to cook? And I'm thinking, we can buy something. But she said, no, I just want to cook. And so she does. She has some great recipes and loves to share that food. And there's been a lot of good meals prepared by Linda. And I hope, Mike, that you guys have been able to participate in some of the benefits of that because she does a lot of cooking. She loves her grandkids. And they're in our school, a few of them right now, and they get special treatment. They get to come in, they get hugs, they get candy, they get chocolate. I'm sure parents know that. If not, cat's out of the bag now. She's had, I know a few of her bosses, principals that she's worked with. Trudy said, I grew up around Linda, and I was one of her little beehives, and then I became her boss, and I was this little beehive bossing her around. I don't know how that went. But I'm sure they got along very well. They still get together and do some things together. Some of our other principals, like Cody Dobson, if you know Cody, he liked to risk life by jumping in, gliders, little glider planes, and floating around. And Linda would get worried because she told me I would worry when I'd hear about him going out. And she would worry about Gary headed out into the backcountry on a snowmobile or motorcycle. And she says, where are you going tonight? Are you going backcountry skiing again? That's what she would say about me, And so she has a genuine concern about her principals, not because she cared about our lives, really. She just didn't want another boss. Because anytime one superintendent or assistant superintendent, somebody walked in, she's like, oh my gosh, I got to go through another boss. No, really, she was concerned about the people, and we really do appreciate that. One final parting comment here. This comes from our head cook. She says, they say someone could always fill your shoes. Well, not Linda's. Linda's shoes are like glass slippers. And it's her slippers, and no one else can ever fit them. And so we want to congratulate her on receiving this and wish her the very best as she sails off into the golden years with her family. Congratulations, Linda. 10 minutes.
Hey, I got the mic now. The superintendent knows me. I'm your toast. Snuggle in. I just want to say that I love my job, and it's really hard to walk away. Never thought of it as a job. I love what I do. I love the people I work with. I love all of you people. You've been kind of good to me for the last 30 years, except Gary. Picked on me a lot. And let me tell you, it is hard to watch all these men and the things they do, and it takes a good year to train a good principal. It's really rough on you when you switch those guys around. I don't know. But I am thankful for all of you, for the things you taught me, for the things that you shared with me. I don't feel like I deserve this because there's, 17 other elementary secretaries and a million more others out there that are amazing. And we are such good friends. And we've laughed and cried together and been afraid together and learned together. I love my people from North Park. I love my people from Birch Creek. I appreciate my cute little sister secretaries that nominated me. I appreciate all the principals I've worked with. I love you dearly, all of you. Yes, even you, Gary. Thankful to all of you for everything. And my family, I adore you. You're everything. You make me laugh and smile, and I look so forward to just living and serving you. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Would her family and school family please stand? Linda's family and school family, please stand. Thank you. We appreciate our classified employees so much and our teachers. Each one of these people make such a difference in our schools, and the classified employees sometimes are able to catch that one little student who's having a really rough day and turn the world around for them. And we just appreciate all that you do in our schools. Thank you so very, very much. We're going to go ahead and have our public input, and for those of you who are here for the recognitions, this is a great time to escape, but you're welcome to stay. Okay, we'll go ahead and then move on to our consent agenda, and I will take a motion to approve our consent agenda.
I make a motion that we approve our consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, all those, should we vote on it then? Hang on, before we vote, is there any discussion? Okay, we'll vote. Oh, where did she go?
There's 4 of us. Yeah, I think we're good to go.
Are we good with 4 of us?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
All right, the voting's all in and unanimous in favor.
Thank you. Okay, we will go ahead and move on to our action agenda. And first, we will have a presentation on Skyview High School's School Land Trust Budget Adjustment.
I put the lapel mic on because I have the next 4 items, but I promise to go quickly, okay?
Thank you.
When I move around. This item here that I'm presenting tonight, we're at that time of year where schools are getting close on their school land trust plans, and when they have to do a little bit of adjusting on the budget to make everything work. And typically we'll bring this into the board on a study session, but tonight next time you have a action meeting will be middle of June, and the money will have already been spent. So we want to be upfront with the board and ask for your permission tonight to put this right as an action item to be able to adjust the funds at Skyview High School in their school land trust plan. Principal Monson did meet with Dale. They went through the budget to just make sure they're meeting all the commitments of what they have on teacher salaries. That's the main part. And so Principal Monson is asking to shift the remaining funds that he has for supplies, professional services, and employee training over to salary so that he can meet those obligations. And Dale has confirmed that that will meet the obligations that he has on salary. So asking for the board's approval, and then he will write that amendment in his plan tomorrow and then proceed with that, with the board's approval.
Any questions? Okay, I'll take a motion to approve the Skyview High School School Land Trust Budget Adjustment.
I move that we accept the Skyview High School School Trust Land Budget Adjustment.
I second it.
Any discussion? Okay, we'll go ahead and vote then. Has everybody voted? Okay. 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 All those in favor say yes?
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay. Request for the approval of the Cache District 2018-19 School Land Trust Plans.
Okay, we talked about this at the last board meeting, and I do need to tell the board members how much I appreciate the time that you took to look over those plans, to visit with the school principals. I've had comments from most every one of them, and some of you have sent me copies of your comments that you discussed with them, and I just think it's great that you're involved at that level and working with them on the accountability of those school land trust plans. So at this point, we're asking for the board's approval of the 18-19 school land trust plans for all of our schools. And once we have your approval, we'll just do a little verifying tomorrow and Monday, and then we will officially send them to the state, and then we'll see what kind of feedback we get back from the state.
We'll know if we did our job right or wrong.
We'll take a look.
Okay. Any questions? All right. I will take an approval for the Cache District 2018-19 School Land Trust Plans.
I move that we approve the Cache School District School Land Trust Plans for each of the schools for school year 2018-2019.
I second.
Any discussion? Okay, we'll vote.
All the votes are in and unanimous in favor of the motion.
Okay, thank you. All right. And now for the approval to amend the 3000 general board policies, changing school community councils to make it more efficient for the school administrators.
Yeah, I was wondering how many boxes of chocolates or Diet Coke you received. When we announced this in the principals meeting, they were very much appreciated the fact that the board was considering making this change, that their school land trust plan is the school improvement plan. It saves them time, it just makes sense. I also appreciate a couple board members. You sent us in some editing notes to take a look at, to consider. Jen spent some time going through those. The only thing that I did change, and the actual policy is in board docs under revisions, but We did put on there that when we were referencing I've got to find the fall final report. By state guideline, it's due on the 20th of October of the following year, and I had put in the policy October 5th so that the board could have a chance to look at it. And when I thought about that, there's really nothing that the board's approving in that. The school just has to meet that deadline, but I put in here that the deadline is the 20th, and they would upload it to the state website, but then at the same time, we would provide those final year-end reports to the board so that you have a copy of them. You can see the results. So that's the only thing I changed on what you two sent in for information, but I appreciate your help on that. So I'm asking for the board's approval at this time.
Okay, I'll take a motion to approve the general board policies for the school community councils.
We don't have a copy of it on this agenda item on board docs. So how will we see what recommended corrections were made?
If you go to policies and grab draft, you'll see the section over there under 3,000, and you'll see school committee council, and it's right there. And I had Jen to clean it all up. All the colors are gone. It's all one clean copy now policy.
Are you concerned about that?
No.
Okay.
The agenda item says only section 9, but there was a lot more that needed to be corrected in this policy than just section 9.
Yeah,
So
we really added comments.
Can we vote
to
on
all
it
of
where the agenda item says only section 9?
Yeah, let's change the motion. So what would the motion be? That we will approve the general board policies on the school community councils as it has been drafted? Does that work?
Amended?
As revised.
As revised?
Revised, amended, sure.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay, any questions about it? Okay, then I'll take a motion to approve the general board policies for the school community councils as revised.
I move that we approve the amended general board policy under school community councils.
I second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, we'll go ahead and vote.
I just lost it, Dan. Hold on just a second. Gotta get back in.
Thank you.
My vote is yes.
Mike, for streamlining this for the schools and making it an easier process.
Yeah, the new policy looks really great.
Yeah, thanks for your help and support on that. Makes sense.
So the votes are in and unanimous in favor of the motion.
Okay, great. Okay, moving right along. Next.
Next.
We'll go ahead and have our report on the 2018-2019 Comprehensive Guidance Program Approval, Data Projects, and Mental Health.
Okay, I'm going to get the projector down on this one. This is the annual process that we have to go to have board approval. But while I'm turning the projector on, have all the counselors, and in our monthly meetings, they always sit on the back row. I'm going to ask all the counselors just come up here closer so they can really see what you look like. And if they want to ask you questions, they can do that.
It's really fun to see all of you here together.
Yeah, all the ones who are here.
Like I said, we have to do this annually. It's part of the comprehensive guidance program. that we actually have the board's approval. So tonight, we're just doing the report, and then at the meeting later in June, we'll ask for the board's approval. So that's really what this first slide is saying. And there are like 12 slides here, but I go through slides really fast. The ones who are going to take most of the time will be the counselors, I'm afraid. Okay? But these are the competencies that the counselors work on. The fourth one down there, personal and social development, you're going to hear a little more information on this tonight because we see a bit of a trend and some concerns that we're seeing in all of our schools that they'll talk about just a little bit more in a data project. Time allocations, this is the way they're supposed to spend their day working in the schools, just for general information for you. To qualify to receive our funds every year, those are the five things that we must do. We have to be working with the PCCRs with all of our students, complete the yearly data projects, and we're just finishing those up to submit those to the state, and you'll hear a little bit about some of that tonight. Every school has to do an annual self-evaluation of the program unless they went through an external review, and we did have 3 of our schools this year go through an external review, Green Canyon, Skyview, and North Cache. Every 6 years they have to go through that external review, and in the middle on the 3rd year we do an internal type of review, and then they meet the 7 qualifying standards. There's the 7 standards that they have to work with without going into too many details with you, but you can see there under assurances, the very first one, they have to have the board adoption, so that's why we're here spending just a little bit of time with you here tonight. As far as funding goes for Cache School District, the state has $9.9 million, and out of that, Cache District receives just about $320,000. That's what we'll be receiving this next year. And this is the way we allocate it, $176,000 to parapros. Every one of our secondary schools have a paraprofessional that works in the guidance office for 6 hours a day, 180 days. And then we have about a little over $123,000 that we allocate out directly to the schools based on the number of students that they have in their school. And then the counselors have the discretion of how they spend that money to support their program. And that also supports them going to their annual trainings and conferences. We do have some indirect costs associated with this program. Those funds are restricted. And then I hold on to a reserve about $10,000, but I usually end up spending that based on other, different things that happen during the year that the district picks up. And it tells you there below what the funds can be used for. Personal salary and benefits, the training, equipment, and materials and curriculum. And I think our counselors all do a pretty good job of deciding as a team how to spend those funds, but they really have most of the say.
Before you leave that slide, so none of the counselors' salaries are in here, just the parapros?
None of the counselor salaries. The district picks up all the salaries, and CTE general funds pick up just about 2 of the FTEs, but the district general fund picks up the rest of them. This is our ratios, the number of counselors that we have in all of our schools. And so we have 24 and a half counselors this year in Green Canyon based on numbers. We're adding a half a counselor there, and that's just to keep to our ratio of under 1 to 350. Based on our numbers that we have projected for next year, our ratio should be 1 to 343 by adding this half counselor. Now that doesn't mean every school is under 350. Some are a little over that, some are underneath that quota A's, but what the state looks at is the overall average of the ratio in the district. So we're able to make it that way because of it. And most of the counselors are here, and they're making up that group of 24 and a half counselors. And I do have to thank Superintendent Norton, because he's always willing to spend the money that's needed to keep us underneath that ratio of 1 to 350, and that every year that takes a commitment from the district. We're a growing district, and we just have to keep tweaking this every year. So thank him for his support with that. Our counseling programs just continue to improve every year. Like I say, the couple that I'll point out there is simply the ratio. We're being able to keep ourselves under that 350. The one on the bottom, elementary emergency support, we've had that in place for many, many years, but with the commitment the district's making at the elementary level now with counseling help, there'll be about one counselor for every 2 elementaries, and they'll pretty well be able to manage what's going on in elementary schools, but our secondary counselors are still willing to step in and support any school at an elementary level if they're asked to do that. Scholarships and applications. If you go to the awards assemblies that'll be coming up at our high schools, millions of dollars will be given out to our high school students here in the next couple of weeks. And that's because of the efforts that comes out of the Comprehensive Guidance Office. Now the school presentation, I'm going to turn it over now to who's going to start it. Is it going to be Jennifer? Yes. So if you want to come up here and just use this microphone. They'll pick you up over the web. On the web.
You got thousands of people at home
watching,
listening in tonight.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure that you had some of our documentation. I think it was uploaded to the site, but just in case I did bring copies.
It's on board docs. You can open up the handouts there in your board doc.
Awesome. Basically, and this is amazing, we have, again, I think almost all of the counselors are here in a united effort to just put out a request for mental health professionals in our schools. And that would be to just provide care, to be a part of a collaborative team, and also because these mental health professionals have a real sense of community resources and agencies that we can then go ahead and usher our kids and their families into some community help. So I think it's important to note, and you'll see on these documents, that we are a program that's standard-based, data-driven, so that we know what the needs of the students are. So that gives us focus, it gives us our programs, and a better understanding of the uniqueness of our schools. And so how we collect data is by doing systemic assessments. That would be our needs surveys, and we do that, I think almost everyone does that with parents, teachers, and students. So there's those 3 target groups that then give us feedback, and like I said, that then drives our approach in each of our departments. And a lot of times you'll see just a little bit of uniqueness based on that particular school and that needs assessment. We also have state data, that's our SHARP survey, so every 2 years we receive information on things that our students are dealing with, and then we get together and make decisions based on, okay, how do we address those needs and those concerns? So you'll notice at the very top there, and there's a second page that kind of shows our distinct roles by different school professionals there. And there's some very distinct ones, and then there's a lot of crossover, but you can see how, I think on both sheets, that there's also noted having like school psychologists and your school social workers in the school and some of the things they do, which school counselors are currently doing. And with that, with the data, and I know that this is something that we did at Green Canyon, and it was really unusual, the first time ever, when we looked at our teachers survey and our parent survey and the student survey, at the top of 1 or 2 of their 3 needs, they pertain to anxiety and stress, that they wanted help addressing that. And so that kind of caused us to step back for just a moment and look at, okay, what do we do? How do we help that? It wasn't about financial aid, which we're ready to tackle, but instead it was some of those emotional and mental health concerns. So with that, we had to then look at the fact that the state and Mike Lichty put that up just a bit ago with our percentages that are how we're supposed to allocate our time. And up to 55% of that should be done with college and career readiness. Another 25% should be spent with classroom instruction, whether we're actually doing the instructing or we're creating the presentations and the curriculum. And then 25 to 30% is with dropout prevention and then meeting the emotional needs that kids have, so being an emotional support. And so if you were to just take those three things, about 3/4 of our time should be spent with students on college and career readiness and things that they need in the classroom setting. And yet, we're probably pretty much flipped this year with what we're doing at Green Canyon. And so, what we all know is that when a crisis enters into your office, it's kind of like tyranny of the urgent. You drop everything. And rightly so, you know, so everything kind of gets put on the back burner and you deal with whatever the needs are of that student. And it can take hours. And I know that each one of these individuals could probably share some specifics, things that probably even happened today in their offices. And so there's something that's sacrificed in meeting that need of that emotional concern for that student. And it pretty much trumps everything else that we are requested to do in the schools and for kids. Because of that need. And so we're just looking at the fact that we're always trying to find resources. So we're bridging that gap, and we so appreciate the district and what you're doing. Just the fact that we have 2 elementary licensed clinical social workers is amazing, Dan Megan and Susan Polson. Great. And that there's also those 2 new elementary positions opening up. We're just trying to sort of sneak in there for the secondary schools as well, just because there's that great need. And one of the things that we've done at Green Canyon, and these guys will share a little bit here in just a minute as well, but we look for interns. So we have counseling interns, we have masters of social workers, bachelors of social workers. We just try and find resources. We also reached out to USU in November. Met with them in January and asked them to review what our mental health needs were and then our ability to meet those. And that really magnified the gap. And so we're basically here seeing if there's any way that we could just tweak your ear to considering the possibility of having mental health professionals in the school. I think it's really important to note, though, that does not mean that we are trying to run a mental health clinic in the schools. We are not trying to provide therapy for them. We just want to have skilled professionals that can be there to care for students when they walk in, meeting with all of us as a team, but really making sure that they're in the right place with the right people. So I'll let you ask questions to all of these guys, and if they want to answer or just share some things that are happening in any of your schools.
Before you leave, just identify for me maybe a hierarchy of who are what you're considering mental health workers that would be in the schools. Just tell me by category. What are we
Social
looking
workers
at?
would be
Social workers?
Ideal, I believe, yes, because they come with that, again, a skill set where they can identify and tease out what's really going on. And then they also are fully aware of the different resources in the community. They're our liaison between community resources providers that they can then help with parents and saying, hey, listen, here's a list of individuals you can meet with. Here's the insurances that they manage. They can also, when we have kids returning from having been in maybe a treatment program because of some needs, they can also be that person that takes them back in when they come to the school and decide, okay, do they go right back into 5 classes? Do they need to be in this class? What do we do for them so that we don't necessarily just kind of put them right back where they left when they had that initial crisis?
Are you thinking graduated social workers or interns? who are in the social work program or a combination of those two?
Well, we currently all have access to the interns. So we work really closely with Dr. Calloway's program, the social work program up at Utah State, both with bachelor's and master's. But again, they're fairly limited, and you know, the liability concern always is there, and so we're really cautious. They help, they assist, but there's this level of trust that doesn't exist.
How many
because
of
the
those a year
license.
do we typically have of the interns?
Oh, well, we were really fortunate this year. So, because we're just always, you know, shaking the trees. We had 3 bachelors of social workers and 1 master's of social worker.
And what
they
would be
were
a
busy.
what would be a preferred number of those interns if you could have your dream list filled?
Oh, of the interns? That's probably enough, wouldn't you say?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah,
they're like
trying to
student teachers,
coordinate-
they are a little extra work.
Oh, they're a lot of work,
Okay.
in a good way, in a good way.
Okay.
But there's a lot of supervision, a lot of evaluations, a lot of things. We have to meet certain needs when they come into this school. You know, they have to do certain tasks and all of that. Whereas a licensed clinical social worker, sort of like Dan Megan and Susan Polson, would step right in and be
And what
able
would
to
be your dream number for licensed social workers in the district?
Yeah, you
We
know
have
my answer.
2. So,
A dream?
okay.
But the reality might be 2, one's out.
1 for 2 schools.
Well, or even north and south. One for each cone, north and south.
Okay, now I don't understand. 1 for each what?
Cone, so we have a north end,
South end,
Oh.
north end schools.
feeder schools for the high schools.
So then you have your dream because you've got 2?
No, they're actually.
They're elementary.
Oh, those are elementary. Gotcha. Okay.
But ideally, you would have 1 in each high school and 1 in each middle school.
Yeah, the bigger we get, yeah.
And then do they
To-
work
to
under
provide
the counselors?
services- Sorry.
Do they work under the counselors? Is that how they would function, or?
As a
I don't think
team?
they'd necessarily work under us, I think it would be just part of the team. So we'd have our administration and
Okay.
counseling group, as well as the social worker working all together.
Okay, thank you.
So the scenarios that we talked about, with the training of a social worker versus the training of a counselor. The training of the counselor, what we do are meeting the
Would you
areas.
use the microphone, please?
The training of the counselors are what Mike presented in our areas, our 4 areas, and what we do in meeting the whole student and working in the dream of a social work graduate level, and what they are trained to do is combining services with the community, looking at services that are out in the community. And so if we were to have a vision in the south end, it would be an individual, even if the dream meant one social worker for the south end that would feed elementary, middle, and high school, would be that, for example, today, myself and vice principal, we took a student to the emergency room, and sending her to a behavior health unit. So the dream would be that this social worker would have come with us, connected with the family, became the resource of the family, so that when this young person comes back from the behavior unit, they've connected with the family and looking at, all right, what resources are there out there that you can afford, that you can get into with a therapist that won't take 3 to 6 weeks, talking with them, and also coming back into the school, working with us, getting this person back into the school. Right now, a student goes to a behavior unit, comes back, often they walk in and we go, oh, you're back, and that connection. I think social work training is to look at all of the community resources in our valley, to possibly provide a grief group, to possibly provide a social skills group, but their training and their work would be different than what the school counselors do, and more of help us to be more effective in helping. The other part that we get concerned about is the school counseling program and the schools being the mental health hub. We would like the community to be the mental health, all of us joining together, and we feel like that a social worker is trained to do that, a graduate level social worker would do something like that.
Does a social worker with a bachelor's degree work or not?
No,
It has
a
to be a
master's,
graduate.
yeah, a master's of social work.
Has to be master's, okay.
Yep.
Do you guys have questions?
I have one more.
Okay.
Nobody's mentioned the school psychologist. Is it because we haven't had them before, we haven't worked with them before, or we just don't want to go that
We
direction?
do currently have school psychologists.
That work with
They
the
do
special ed.
almost exclusively
Yeah.
testing.
Yeah, but how about working in the general mental health area of school, of regular kids going to school?
As we've talked about who was most appropriate, we feel like the social work, someone with a background in social work is the most appropriate. School psychologists often, I believe, have more of a focus on therapy or on testing and on the brain. We don't want to necessarily provide therapy in the school. We know we have therapists in the Valley. We don't know that we're aware of every therapist and what their time frame is. We would love somebody who could liaise with the Valley and really get some good contacts with the different mental health agencies and therapists in the Valley to enable them to then talk with parents and connect parents with those, instead of providing the same service that's available in the Valley within the school. I guess I'm a big believer, I think we all are. School's focus, sometimes we lose that scope of focus, but our focus is academic, and through the governor's recent initiatives, it is college and career readiness. And sometimes as school counselors, I think we all feel this way, we're losing some of that focus because we're dealing so much with the crisis day to day today. And so, but I do think we have resources in the community. I think there's a gap between what we're able to do as school counselors and that access to those community resources. And we would like to fill that gap, and we feel the curriculum through the social work department is a really good fit for communicating and kind of filling that gap. Does that make sense?
Mhm. I think this is an important issue personally. Board members, do you have any comments? Seems like with the safety issues that we have nowadays, that would also be a deterrent for kids who are having some thoughts of dangerous thoughts.
And I agree that our focus in our schools really needs to be more on academics. I mean, I've had several experiences myself as a substitute teacher in high schools where I've had to try and work with students who have come to school with lots of baggage that day, and it takes the focus away for the whole class. Mm-hmm. And so we want to help these kids, but I agree with these counselors that we need to let the community be the therapists and not our schools.
Anybody else? Randall, do you have any thoughts or opinions on this? Okay.
We just kind of wanted to present the data and get
Thank
it
you.
in front of you guys.
Thank you.
Anything else for you guys? Thank
Last
you.
chance. Clint, you looking like you're going to say something.
I'm good, it's been said, it really has. But, you know, I think
You have to talk in the mic.
these guys have heard so much from me, they're tired of listening to me, I know. And, you know, the gap that I think is I just look back on the 20 years that I've been doing this, and the gap that has existed between what counselors are really good at. Hey, I'm having a hard day. Okay, come in, sit down, let's talk about it. We put Band-Aids on, we kick them back out into the math and English and science room, right? And we love doing that. And these guys, I get emotional when I talk about these counselors because they're amazing. And I think we've had some, you know, we had some death by suicides in the Valley this year, and I'm still pretty shaken. And I know Mountain Crest is still pretty fresh, and we're pretty fresh as well. And what that does to your feelings and and you go home and you second guess and you don't sleep very well and you think, what could I have done more? And we know that the state, it's increasing. The mental health and illness are just increasing, and I don't think this tidal wave is backing off very much. I think we have a lot to look at and to go forward with it. But that gap that used to exist that I kind of could get people back out, it's just gotten bigger and bigger. And they look at me and they sit in front of me and they say, Mr. Fulmer, I'm not going to see a therapist for 2 weeks. Do you want me to just miss school and flunk all my classes until I figure out something, or can you help me? I called the parents and they said, we're not sure what to do. I've got 2 jobs. I can't come in and help. And so we kind of go this round and round, and I think these guys are amazing at what they do, but we saw a gap in there. Our data is showing a gap in there, and I think we're all united on the social work and the training that they go through help fit that gap. I know that's repeating what everybody said, but I think it's important.
Thank you. We're having a retreat in June, so I think I'll put this on the agenda if that's okay with everyone, and we can have some discussion and maybe look into what the district feels about this as well financially. I know that's an issue. Did you have anything you want to say on that?
Go ahead.
Well, the budget process is still open. So that's always up for discussion, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You bet. I told you the counselors would take all the time. It wasn't going to be me.
Sorry, I'll be brief, but I know we've talked a lot about the high school level and what that might look like, but on the middle school level, we recognize and see a lot of the same problems, and I think that having an opportunity for some early intervention at the middle school level, and also having, if we looked at a model where there was one person for middle school and that fed into the high school, having some continuity of services from 8th grade to 9th grade as they're working with those students would be very beneficial as well. We try to provide that as counselors. We meet in transition meetings, at the end of every year, but ultimately, we pass them along, and it's fresh faces and new explanations to a lot of the problems that the kids are facing. So just something to consider as you're considering those ideal situations. The middle school having somebody that could provide that transition a little bit more smoothly would be fantastic. So.
As he's talking about transitions, we are meeting with elementary schools to transition kids, and those elementary schools are saying, Johnny's meeting with the Bear River mental health therapist and his elementary counselor. I assume that will continue when he gets to middle school, and we don't have that resource at our school. We don't have the Bear River mental health working with our middle schools right now, or any of our secondary schools. And I just hope you'll take a minute to look at the data. It's astounding the number of kids that we have had at our middle school who have dropped out because of anxiety, been committed to institutions for wanting to commit suicide, and speak about it with us regularly. So it's a big thing. Thank you for your consideration.
I happen to be one of the I'm a social worker, a licensed clinical social worker at the elementary level. And I can say that certainly being able to do that liaison that we've been able to do in the middle schools is awesome. I know we as the school counselors, we're fortunate right now to actually be getting ready to hopefully, have a social worker or school counselor at each of the schools part-time, so we're sharing 2 of those schools. I can speak to even today at school, this last week with Mountain Crest and what happened with Mountain Crest and the loss there, is I had kids come to school wearing green. Not quite sure why, but they said it was somebody who passed away, who, this was a little first grader. And then today, talking with a 6th grader at school who has, talked about her situation, whether she wanted to be here or not. And I know we deal with that every day. We have grief groups, we have social skills groups at the elementary level. So that continuum from elementary on up to high school is essential. And I know that as a licensed clinical social worker, I know you guys, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed by what you expect, but I think it's true, and I think we can utilize. Chris and I have worked with master's students with Dr. Calloway. I've had, in the last couple of years, supervised 3 different ones, and one from actually University of Utah. So I do think that there's an ability to take advantage of the university on some level as well, but still needing in those schools, I would say a minimum, one on each, like you mentioned, one on each side, but that That would be a minimum, and I do think there's licensed clinical social workers out there that are out there that are awesome and wanting to take advantage of that. And then, so with that said,
Thank you.
Can I ask a question, Clint? So I was at the Hope Walk on Saturday. Do you think that events like that, having more events like that, will be more encouraging or more helpful or throughout the district? I mean, that was the first one ever, and it seemed like it was not well attended.
The
I mean,
rain,
fun,
the rain really
but-
didn't help, right? A little bit on that
Yeah.
day, but yeah. So you know, the more we do those kinds of things, and the more the Hope Squads are still fairly new in the valley, right? And we thought that Hope Walk, and Logan's going to take that next year and try to do the Hope Walk. We're going to try to make that a year-to-year thing, and you know, it's a hard thing to crack into, and you know, and it's hard because I think part of the shroud of still, hey, I don't want to show up to something. Maybe somebody will think I have a mental illness if I show up at this. We're still trying to get over those things. I think that's still a huge detriment, and I think I applaud the schools everywhere for what they're trying to do. We know that Hope Squad can't fix all problems. That's not the point. Safe UT is not fixing everything either. The state's trying to do some things. We're trying to do some things at the school just to show this is a safe place. You can have these issues, and we're all going to try to help. And I think the more we get that out, yeah, I think it's the better. It's a good community thing, and I wish we would have had a few more there. But I'm kind of glad a lot of the schools came, and for who was there, they were really appreciative of it, and it was worth it.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
One of the things that I noticed there, though, is a lot of the communities, like it was mentioned, we want the community support. And we had, you know, Bear River Mental Health, the health department, some family place, a couple other groups that were there that are willing to be there to be the support. We just need somebody to help us connect a little bit better so that we can communicate a little bit better with them.
Okay, I'm going to wrap this up. I did talk to the state as we were trying to meet our ratio of 1 to 350, and you have the requirement, okay, to hire another counselor. You ask the question of the state, well, can we hire a master's level social worker to meet that ratio? No, we can't. So we tried that angle, and so we know that door is closed. There was just the last week a grant was put out statewide for 3 districts to participate in a program with social workers, and we jumped right on that. The state will select 3 districts to go into a program. What was it, a 3 or 5 year program? And there was going to be some funding allocated with that. So Kurt Jenkins is working with that right now to just see if we can happen to be one of those 3 that get picked. So once again, I appreciate the board's support for the guidance program. Every one of these, none of these counselors will close the door when a student needs to come and get help. They're going to help them. They're just hoping that there's maybe better help that we could give some of these students. And so we appreciate your time tonight.
Do you know about what other districts are doing? Do they have any successful social work programs going that we can learn
Unless the
from?
counselors can answer that.
Where do they get their money to do that?
I don't know.
Same place we get ours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just, they've had, they're bigger, so they've had the opportunity of pooling resources. What did we end up advertising for this year? Did we go out for social workers, or was it?
Gary, what was advertised for the elementary?
See what was out there? That's part of the issue, is there are not a lot of social workers out there waiting to be hired. Okay, so we're in competition, but we are looking right now, and would take on social workers if they are available. The distribution of them is still got to be looked at. But we also talked about, and that's why I brought up school psychologists, because I'm all for the model that you don't try and do everything, but I'm also aware of there are some families and some kids that are never going to get into therapists in the community. I know that from my work at Utah State with kids. I couldn't get them in even when I was willing to pay to get them in. And so there's a backlog out there. And I'm just thinking that we might be wise to have some resources available for those crisis cases where we actually need somebody who does know how the mind works and can give that kind of help. So I don't know if we actually put out for a school psychologist this year, because I think we talked ourselves out of it, but I can see a need in the future, and we'll just have to see. We've been on a quest to get elementary counselors back into our elementary schools, and that's where we put our focus the last few years. So the next few years, we can start looking at social workers across the board. But we put a lot of money and resources in trying to get counseling up where it needs to be, and you have to weigh it with everything else that we do. So every time you go out and say we're going to increase this particular field, you take money off the table for salaries, you take money off the table for insurance, so it all has to be weighed, and we think we've done a pretty good job of looking at. Appreciate the input. Recognize that we'll go after them with every resource we have, but we got to keep all the rest of the programs going too, and so that's kind of where we're at.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or concerns? All right, thanks, Mike. We appreciate all of you counselors and all that you do in our schools. Thanks so much.
Thanks for all you do. Appreciate it.
Okay. All right. We will next have a report on the middle school course and academic requirements adjustment. And Tim, you're up.
Okay. We'll just leave it set the way it is.
We came to you earlier in the year and alignment with our rural and middle school curriculum passed new middle school curriculum policy. And thought we were where we needed to be there. We got one of the areas that are on the sheet you see here on the agenda is what we choose to do with health in the school district. We integrated into our science courses, and we were kind of called on the carpet on that from the state with regards to how we address health. Typically, school districts have a standalone health class in the middle school and in the high school, and taught by a licensed health teacher. And that's in actually state board rule. So we met with the middle school principals and looked at that as the new underage drinking bill was out. We were required to teach that course both either the 7th and 8th and then the 9th and 10th grade with health. So as we visited with the middle school principals, we thought it was wise to pull that health requirement back out of integrating into the science and put that as a standalone class in the 7th grade, so that our students will have a health class in the 7th grade and a health class in the 8th. So you see on there that we pulled that out of science, and if you look in the 7th grade curriculum down there, you'll see an added health class for one trimester. There's a lot of training happening this summer, Bachman life skills training for underage drinking prevention. Those teachers are all free materials, free curriculum that the state's providing, but they have to training for that.
Tim, do you know when that training's going to be?
There is, yes, there is a list now of come up with the teachers for depending on where they're at in the state, what their schedules look like.
Is there a charge for the teachers to go to that?
No charge for the training, no stipend for the training, no
could we as a board member attend that?
So where does it appear on the 8th grade?
Seventh and ninth.
Oh, 7th and 9th. Okay, okay, gotcha. All right. Okay, any questions? Okay, thank you. All right, report on the arts. Delpha and Maylee.
Is it on now? Okay, there we go. So we'll get that up here in just a minute. And it's under slides. Yep, there you are. Okay. All right. And we'll start with a video that was put together by our awesome Jenda that's on our website right now.
Nicely done.
That was our district celebration of the arts. That was held at Green Canyon. That was on the 20th of April, and Delpha will tell you some more about it.
So we were really pleased. We had a pretty steady stream of patrons coming through the evening. We had 25 live performing arts performances. Well, I guess some of those included some film that wasn't live, but we had a lot of our choirs and bands and orchestras and our improv troops from Mount Crest and Ridgeline, and it was just a wonderful evening of performance. But we also had 30 visual arts teachers who provided student artwork for the evening. And we were very grateful to have support from many of our administration, and Kathy Jensen from the state came clear up here to support our event, which we also appreciated. So thank you for that. And next year, we'll be having the event at Ridgeline High School on April 12th. It's Friday evening, and so put it on your calendars now, so have that. We wanted to take just a moment and tell you what
time?
I'm sorry, what?
What time on April?
It'll be 5 to 9. We try to start it so that people who are coming from work can participate. So we've had some visiting artists that have come in the arts this year. The Utah Opera sent some visiting artists who presented their opera up close presentation to our high schools. I was able to attend one of those. They had 4 singers who came and talked to the students about the vocal, the use of the voice and vocal music for artists that way. And we have Who Wants to Be an Opera Star presentations. We've had that take place at 2 of our elementary schools. They're coming to Wellsville Elementary on the 22nd, I believe it is, of May. And the opera also provides opportunities, which is a free performance. The students are invited to come to down in Salt Lake. It's their final dress rehearsal. And I know that Jeremy Bear has taken a busload of students down all four of those performances. So we have a lot going on with our artists in residence. The Utah Symphony came and did a concert here on March 12th. We had over 800 music students in attendance at that concert, and they came from all 3 middle schools and all 4 high schools. So we were pretty excited to have that support from our teachers and their administration and the students. And the feedback that several of the teachers gave to me from that was that students said, wow, I had no idea it sounded like that in person, because so many of them only hear things on recordings. So it was a wonderful experience for the students as well. We also in February had the Ryrie Woodbury Dance Company come into several of our elementary schools, as well as doing a workshop for our elementary music teachers. They taught the kids about space and time and energy and movement, and they had all of the kids dancing in their seats, which was fabulous. But they also brought up some students who got to participate with the professional dancers, putting to practice what they had just learned from those dancers that they explained to them. So these are just a few pictures of some of the outcome of that experience.
Okay, and then last November we had Carrie Trenholm come as an artist in residence for an entire week. She worked with students at Canyon Elementary. She's a glass artist out of Cedar City, Utah. She does what's called fusing with the glass, and you can do it in a regular kiln. So we used Andrea's kiln over a mountain crest to fuse these. Students designed these designs based on Adinkra symbols, which they studied in ancient cultures. And then they created a symbol that was meaningful to them, and that's how they made those designs. On the right there, you see Carrie with a student, and the mural, the glass mural that they made, those are on permanent display in their library or media center, at Canyon. And then also on the left, you can see all the students made a pendant for themselves, experimenting with the materials, the stringer and the frit and the different types of things that Carrie introduced to them. As a result, we also had a professional development with Carrie with all the art teachers in our district, and as a result, I think, Andrea ended up buying a bunch of glass and doing this with her students at the high school as well. So it was a fun night. We also had Film Spark come. They are a pops group. They came in January and presented Malala was the documentary that they showed, and we had dinner and a movie. But it was mostly for our language arts teachers and our humanities teachers and our social studies teachers, and we had some film teachers there as well. But they gave us a curriculum. Each high school has one now with the documentaries and a curriculum guide to support, it's all based on standards, state standards, to support their efforts in the school. It was a great night. The teachers requested they be invited again if we have them come again, so it seemed like it was good. With the visual arts curriculum, currently we're working on an elementary curriculum, and we're using the Studio Habits of Mind as our framework. This is out of Project Zero from Harvard University. It's been heavily researched and supported and been used across the nation, so we're going to adopt that as our framework to build our curriculum on. We're also meeting monthly with the middle school teachers in a district PLC, and we're building a middle school curriculum that's also based on that framework. Looking ahead, we're going to continue to have monthly meetings with the middle school team to build our curriculum in Canvas, and we have a couple of our teachers coming to the Canvas camp coming up. And then this next school year, we'll be testing our elementary curriculum in the classroom to see how it goes. Hopefully it goes well. Professional development that we have planned, we actually wrote a grant to the Utah Department of Museums to bring in a ceramicist named Shane Christiansen. He's part of what's called the FIRM. There are 4 ceramicists that work together, and we're hoping to have him come in and work with students and teachers. We'll hear back about that grant next month if we got it. We also have a research trip planned for next fall to the Spiral Jetty, which is out in Box Elder County. There's a picture right there. It's an earthwork by Robert Smithson, done in 1970. A lot of folks don't know we have a famous land art here in Utah. So we're going to take the art teachers out there. The focus of this research trip will be in integration, how we can integrate what we learn about this earthwork with science. And then for our elementary and middle school teachers, we are going to supply them with access to an online professional development that they can do at their own convenience. We're going to try that out this year and see how that goes. And then we're also going to continue with PLCs with the secondary teachers. We're going to try once a trimester this coming school year.
Okay, I'm going to go through this really quickly. We've really been focusing with our elementary teachers on the Utah effective teaching standards. Even though many of our elementary music teachers are paraprofessionals, we do have a few Beverly Taylor Sorensen Arts Learning Program teachers, but we felt strongly that all of our teachers, paraprofessional or not, need to be knowing those standards and working to be excellent teachers. We also we accomplished a great project this year, the Instrument Hospital project. The teachers had an Instrument Hospital workshop with me based off of a national conference that I went to and received training. And we fixed 44 instruments in our elementary schools, which would have cost $31,580 something to replace those instruments. So instead, we got together and worked hard and replaced, we replaced the pins and cording and cleaned up the bars and polished them and refurbished them. And it cost us less than $1,000. So we were feeling pretty excited about that. And our teachers now have the knowledge that they can fix their own instruments at any time that they need to. So that's exciting. These are, on your picture there, you've got xylophones and metallophones and glockenspiels, the barred instruments basically that we use with our elementary students. We also, as mentioned, had the instruction with Ryrie Woodbury Dance Company, and Mike Christiansen came and did a ukulele training workshop for us. Ukulele is part of our, I guess I should say that, ukulele is part of our curriculum for 6th grade, and that's been going well. The 6th grade students seem to really enjoy learning that instrument. We also had a child singing voice workshop, which our teachers requested, and I mentioned that to Aurora Villa, and she followed through and arranged to have somebody come and do that and invited our teachers to attend, so we appreciated that. We also support all of our music teachers in the elementary level who would like to attend the ORF chapter, the Utah chapter of the ORF Schulwerk Association. They do 4 workshops a year where they bring in professional teachers and give them tools that they can use with their students. So it's a wonderful opportunity, and we have many of our elementary teachers who take advantage of that. And then as far as secondary, we are working on creating curriculum for secondary. We already have curriculum in place for elementary, and focused on the music this year, and we'll see how far we get. We're trying to do middle school and high school, have some great teachers on the team that are working on that. We worked a lot this year on recruitment and retention, and we've done some surveys with our 6th grade and 8th grade students to find out why they're registering for school, music classes or why they are not. And we'll be analyzing that data and using it to improve our approach to the students so that hopefully we can get more involved. And I'd like to work on the instrument repair with our secondary schools. We have a lot of instruments that are sitting unused that if we can figure out a reasonable way to fund repairing those, could provide quite a few more instruments for our students. And we also want to put together an instrument inventory and a sheet music inventory so that throughout the district, those can be used and accessed by all the secondary teachers, so we're not buying repeat music, because if we've got it at such and such a school, why buy it again? So those are some things in the works there. And we're not going to take you to our website because you're really tired and you want to go home, but we hope that you will visit it. They're going to be doing some construction on our district website, and some things in the pages will change a little bit, but hopefully we'll still have our district arts calendar. Please take advantage of that. It shows all of our visual and performing arts events in one place. If you go in there and look, you'll notice that next week, I think it is on Wednesday, there are like 7 or 8 events in one evening that people could choose from. So we have a lot going on with the arts. We appreciate so much the support that we receive from the school board and from our administration all the way around, and we love working together. So, anything else?
I forgot to mention, we supported Dave Christofferson going to a national conference, a national ceramics conference this year, and he came back with some great ideas for our teachers. And also we supported 4 teachers to go to the state art education conference, and it turned out to be a great experience for all of them. That's about it, and thank you again for your support.
Thank you. Wow, you too have taken the arts by storm.
I'm just going to point out one quick thing. So we all know what a good job Aurora did, and she presented to you every year. When we had to replace her, we got 2 for the price of 1, and these 2 are phenomenal. We split the arts into the performing and the visual arts, and they've just done a phenomenal job. It's fun to watch them bring their talents and abilities to this and just take our arts to a next level. So we're appreciative of all the work that they do.
Thank you. And I do want to personally apologize for not making it to the Celebration of the Arts. It's my favorite thing to go to in the district, and I just spaced it. So next year, we've got the date, so we'll move on. Thank you, too. All right, Dale, our monthly financial report.
Just quickly, you do have the monthly financial report for April, but I wanted to draw your attention really to the second sheet that I have in there that talks about funding for next year as a result of the legislative session just concluded. So the benefits we have, the legislature approved a 2.5% increase in the value of the weighted pupil unit. And the main line item, the very first line item up there, has to do with the number of students basically we have in the school district, and it shows then that increase follows that same pattern of an increase of 1.4 million, which represents a 2.52% increase. Same thing basically follows on the professional staff formula. But the one area that we really did well in is with the changes they've had in the voted and board leeway. Those are both equalization type programs. We won't benefit as much as some other districts around us perhaps, because we have been receiving the benefit the last couple of years where our focus has been on maximizing the voted leeway. And the legislature's direction this year is to keep that voted leeway still held high, but to try to bring up the board leeway for districts that have not been able to pass a voted leeway for whatever reason, but have made an attempt to generate additional funding by raising the board leeway, which requires then they go through a truth and taxation hearing, but it doesn't require them to go to a vote of the people. So, but irregardless with that, it was just over a 9.5% increase in those 2 line items. So in our discretionary funding in the general fund for next year, we're really up about 4.15% or 4.6%, 4.16. We have gone through a lot of work in trying to build a budget for next year, which we'll present to the board in the next meeting. I did mention that the budget is open when you asked the comment regarding social workers positions there, but we have completed negotiations with both the certified, the teachers and the classified employees. We've also agreed with an increase on our health and accident insurance, and so those things are firm, and so you can only spend $1 once, can't spend it twice. Superintendent mentioned our focus really for this coming year has been to complete our drive to put elementary counselors in the district, and so that's really where we've put a lot of our funding for next year. So it would take some real effort to try to find a way to sneak in social workers at this point in the game, but again, that can be a future focus, and also the grant that we're pursuing with the state. If that would open up some doors there, that would be great for us. So with our current budget, we're operating fine. If you want to go through that report, you can, but it really is all looking very positive in completing the year in a sound position. We've done some amazing things this year, and a new building down off the highway is going to be another miracle in my eyes that actually was able to happen when it did and how it did. But anyway, that's kind of all I had.
Any progress on that building, Dale?
We are moving well now on having the renovations made that we'll need to allow the staff here to be able to move down. It appears that, well, right now we have 4 individuals working down there currently, and those are tied more with our technology department. Many of the directors could start moving down maybe the middle of June, the first or second week of June, we believe. But some of the other items that are on order to complete some of that renovation won't be received probably until the end of June or even first part of July. So it's going to be kind of strung out here for a little while as who comes down and when. And then the second phase of that is something that we've got to work on. A lot of it's tied in trying to sell this building here. And we're also in the process of trying to get things lined up to sell the current Cache High School as we move down to the new facility down by the Bridgeland.
Progress on sale of this building?
On where, excuse me?
The progress on the sale of this building?
We are completing the 3rd round that we have with North Logan City. I can't believe what it takes to get a subdivision through. You actually have to pay a fee to have a preliminary approval, and then you've got to go and pay another fee and take it back for a regular approval, and then after you get the approval, then you got to pay another fee for the city. We're just smiling at this thinking.
About my city, please.
We're talking about the city you live in.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
2 nights ago, it was your city you grew up in and your college. Man, everyone's against you.
So, anyway,
We got final approvals. What he's trying to get to.
Yes, and the city council is meeting tonight to give us the final
Last night.
So
approval.
are they buying?
It was last night.
Was it last night?
It's done.
Oh,
It's
good deal.
Buying this building?
Who?
North Logan?
No, I
No.
don't, they might be a player, but we don't know that.
No,
There's-
it's
there's still-
final approval for the subdivision of the
Yeah,
land.
they just gave us approval to sell it.
Okay.
Yeah. Even though you own it, you have to get their approval to sell it.
All right.
So on the current Cache High building, the old one, not the new one, will we be having a executive session soon to declare that surplus so that we can move forward on that?
Yeah, and actually we learned from North Logan City that working through that, they're not actually considered surplus property. That sends you down a different avenue than actually selling real property or real estate. But it still requires the board approval and everything else. So we actually won't be coming to you at the point to have a motion to declare it as surplus property, but we will, when we have a tentative agreement or deal, bring that to the board for final approval. So you'll have the final say on anything before it's completed, so.
Okay. All right, thank you, Dale. Do you want to do your quick report on the NSBA that you attended, the meeting you attended?
I can do one quickly.
Okay.
And
then Steve?
one of the classes I really enjoyed was one talking about cybersecurity, which was really fascinating. They estimate that about 1.3 million hits per month come on public education or school districts, and I know Tim could give us a really good report, I think, on challenges that we're facing, but we have an excellent technology staff that has really stayed on top of many of these issues. Phishing is a real mainstay of everyone trying to find a way to get their foot in the door to our system and be able to create havoc. And then one of the other things that's really becoming more prevalent is ransomware, where groups can actually go in and without you knowing, they go in and take your computer system internally and kind of wrap it up, and then they give you a call and say, look, I'm ready to pull the trigger.
Ransomware.
Either you pay up or we're going to shoot. And the thing is, once you've paid it, you don't know that you're going to be exempt from never having that again, because they still have control.
You don't even know if they're going to release it.
Yeah. And you don't even know if they even have it until they actually squeeze you down. But anyway, I just really impressed with our technology group and all that they've done in keeping our system sound. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Steve, do you want to say anything about NSBA?
Yeah. I went to one on curriculum. It was like going back and spending time with Craig Ashton. They just verified everything that we've been working on for years. It was talking about the written and taught and tested curriculum, which I think we have sunk that nail pretty deep in this district. I think it will always be there, but what you believe in and what you think you should teach, you need to make sure that it gets taught, and the only way to know that is to test it. And so it was just a verification of everything that we've been doing here for years.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the one who wanted to know about visiting schools and what he should be doing in the district in his precinct was Larry, and he's not here. So we're just going to move on past my report again, and we'll talk about it when he's here, and we can maybe have a little discussion on this so everybody kind of understands what the expectation is. But I hope all of you have read through it. This is what's in our handbook here under the board president report, and it gives some guidelines, but for each one of us it's probably going to be just a little bit different depending on our schedules. So just a quick reminder, don't forget graduation on the 30th and the 31st. And then if you get invited to any of the awards nights, those of us on the north end take the north schools, those on the south take the south schools.
So if we get invited to a south school, we shouldn't go?
Well, you can, but I'm just saying, we'll divide it up that way, and then if you want to do both of them, that's great. Okay, all right, and so it's your turn.
I was just going to make the same reminder, graduation coming up. When they were talking about next week, you have the opportunity to go to 5 or 6 arts things. You'll already have enough to go to next week. You probably won't hit any of the art things, but marvelous things going on in our district. Marvelous counselors, appreciate all that they do. I think you need to understand that our elementary counselors do spend more time working with kids with problems, and that's how they spend their day. They don't get caught up with all that other stuff that the secondary counselor. So I think that's gonna have a big impact on our district over time as we solve kids' problems as they're in elementary school, as they grow up. So I think that's gonna be a good investment for the district. We are looking at social workers. Like I said, they're scarce, so if we get 2 this year, it'll be a miracle, and we'll go after a couple more next year. All the people that you saw here tonight, the impact they've had on the lives of kids in this district, just amazing. Great place to work, great place to live. Yeah.
I agree. Okay, well,
I have a question. Steve, what time do you want us there on the 1st?
on the first?
Oh, probably about 4:30, something like that, if you can.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, if you can't, you can just come anytime. Yeah, I mean, but if you want to be there to help get things going, yeah.
Okay, sounds great.
And when are the bracelets going to be available?
They're available.
Oh, are they?
They are. You can go to any school, has them, and district office has them. Just call Carolyn, she'll send you some.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, anybody have anything else?
How early do you want us at the graduations?
Okay, so the first one, or the first day, on the 30th, is 3.
On Wednesday, it starts at 3, the first one's at 3. On Thursday, the first one's at 1.
Half hour before.
Half hour before.
Okay. Do you want us to do meals on both of those days in between the 3 and the 7, or just do it on the one where we have 3? How would you like me to break that?
It's up, I hadn't
Do you
even-
want both?
Both, we're there all night.
Okay.
I mean,
all
we're
right.
there all day.
Are you okay with going to the same place, or do you
Yes.
want to go to different? Okay.
Oh, we're fine.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you to everyone, and this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.